Okay. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to an episode of We Read It One Night, the podcast where we talk about the books that make us want to stay up all night reading. I am Allison, a voracious romance reader and sometimes other stuff, and a recovering nonfiction editor. And I am so happy to be joined today by the USA Today bestselling author, Danica Nava.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I am Danica Nava. I wrote The Truth According to Ember and Love is a War Song.
Yeah. Yeah. And Love is a War Song just recently came out. So if you haven't read that one yet, I don't know what you've been doing, but get on that. Go to your local indie bookstore and get a copy or a library. We're big library
Please. No,
Please go get.
Let my publisher know you want me. I want to write more books.
Please go get it. Well, hopefully you got Love is a War Song made it to the USA Today list. So hopefully.
Yeah, immediately 2 weeks running. We'll see. I don't know. This last week, a lot of huge books came out. So we'll see if I'm knocked off or not. But it's going a lot better than my debut. It's a totally different experience.
Yeah. How so?
So with Ember, there was a lot of buzz that kind of naturally formed because it was the first traditionally published Native American rom-com written by a Native author, starring fully Native characters, set in Oklahoma. We just had never seen that before in mainstream media. And it was something that I think a lot of people making lists in places like EW and People and Oprah, even the New York Times, they're like, wow, this is the first. But I don't know if that really so far has translated commercially. They're kind of like, okay. I call it my indigenous Bridget Jones story.
Right.
Because I was obsessed with Bridget Jones, the messy millennial. And I'm so proud of that book. But it was a slow start. And then it didn't hit the USA Today bestseller list. It came out August 5th last year until the last week of Native American Heritage Month in November.
Okay.
So it took months to get there. So word of mouth, people reading it and liking it. But with Love is a War Song, I think it's really in the zeitgeist with Cowboy Western being so hot. It's been interesting because when I had this story back in the end of 2021, I was writing it 2022, and my agent was like, okay, when you're talking to agents, don't say Cowboy. Cowboy is DOA, dead on arrival. Cowboy. No one's buying Cowboy. That is such a dead subgenre of romance.
That's wild to me.
Yeah, she's like, you're only getting that in mass paperback, and they're not acquiring a bunch of it. It's kind of the people who've been writing it get to keep writing it, but they're not getting new voices. And so I was like, ugh. So I was like, she's a singer, and he's like a rancher, business, helping the community, like really
and
trying
sometimes he wears cowboy boots, but it's just
it's a hat, like it's a stylish hat, it helps block out the sun. We don't gotta call it a cowboy hat. He's wearing work boots that have a almond or pointed toe, square toe. I don't know.
Maybe they have spurs on them, but he rides horses.
Spurs in Love is a War Song.
Yes, I do remember that from reading it. That's so funny to me so the reason I asked you on here was to obviously talk about Love is a War Song, but also to talk about like cowboy romance in general and that trend. And that is the first I'm hearing that was something that was like DOA just a few years ago, because I've heard that about like vampires, and now like vampires are making a comeback, and publishing is cyclical, and romance especially, like paranormal was big in the early 2000s, and now romantasy is like the next way, it's all of that. So it's really interesting to hear that I hadn't heard that about cowboy romance, and then especially with how it's like such a juggernaut right now.
Well, yeah, it's because publishing is behind on the trend. So with indie authors, they are agile. They're able to write to market and get it to readers' hands very quickly. Whereas in the trad space, I wrote this book 2 years ago at this point, and it's coming out. So you're kind of behind. But I sold a 2-book deal with my debut with Love is a War Song. It was called Love and Other War Songs at the time. So things changed a little bit.
I like that
And
title.
it was like, oh, maybe. I had to really sell them on it. And I had to write this proposal. And then they sat on it for several months. And I was like, hey, my contract says a book's due. Like, can I write that book? And then they were like, yeah, you can write this book. And, but when it had sold, Done and Dusted by Lila Sage hadn't even come out yet. So,
Yeah.
like, once that blew up on TikTok, but there's still like risk adverse, they're kind of like, well, is it just that
Yeah.
and LC Silver and nothing else? But as you see in Kindle Unlimited and like what's topping the charts, you're seeing it's making a comeback. And I think it's worth mentioning that, the trends right now are skewing towards white, cis, het, conservative values, like with the hockey romance, with the cowboy, military, cop kind of things that are chopping the charts. I do think that there's a correlation and a causation here with what's going on politically.
Absolutely, yeah. What's not going to get you banned from the libraries, allegedly?
Yeah. My character's being brown. I mean, if you look at Lucas on the cover, he's exceptionally dark.
Yeah.
He's more tan. He's working outside all the time.
Yeah.
And, but it was never a discussion of like, is he too dark? Like, it was just, I really trusted Britt Newton. She's at Hello Skay on Instagram. She is my cover designer for both Love is a War Song and The Truth According to Ember. And she's Muskogee. And we just... they're just beautiful covers.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's giving very like early, like 2000s, 2010, like rom-com movie.
Yes. Well, it was like, what is the cover going to be? And again, they were like, we have too many musician romances coming out. If you saw my publisher, there was a bunch. And they're like, we don't want any music, anything. They're like, wide open spaces, maybe a clinch. And I was like, no way. People online are unhinged. I'm sorry. I'm going to be real. Those romance readers, they're up on threads. They're just like, you're copying Lila Sage. It's plagiarism. I just was like, no way. I was like, I want them on the ground. And then a reader was like, the way they are on the ground, which I did this janky PowerPoint where I had like copy and pasted things. I'm like, I want them like laying down, because I saw this illustration years ago of this beautiful woman that Hello Skay did. And she's got her hair. And I was like, oh my God, that's beautiful. Can we get that with the guy looking at her? And they're facing, and the reader was like, it's giving Twilight in the Meadow.
I mean, listen, if anyone should be reclaiming Twilight in like imagery, it's Native authors. Like,
it's what I did.
We've talked about the Twilight book, like all the Twilight series on the podcast, and like every time we're like, also, if you like this, like the Quileutes are doing like the Move to Higher Ground Fund, and like just remember,
Oh, those were coming out when I was in high school. I was obsessed with Twilight.
Oh, yeah. Were you Team Edward or Team Jacob?
Okay, so I started Team Edward, and then book 2, I was like, okay, Jacob, because like we didn't see a whole lot of Jacob. And then the movie Jacob was a goof. I'm sorry, that wig atrocious. And he's just
where the
like,
hell have you been, Loca?
Which if you read toward the end of Love
yes, I saw. I was like, thank God, thank someone who speaks my language.
I wrote that and I was like, almost my deadline. It's like midnight, and I'm just like cracking up, sleep deprived, just laughing. I was like, they're not gonna let me keep this line. It went through. I haven't been sued by Stephanie Meyer yet, knock on wood. But when he's just like, he's in the movie and he like pops out of the bushes like, Bella,
where the hell have you been, Loca?
Just like, how's your prom? I'm like, how did he get there? He's not even a wolf yet. He didn't run. He came straight from the res with no car, just from
maybe
the
he
bushes.
jawed. And listen, and I've been to Forks. That's not a short drive. That's like a half hour.
Why does he come out of the bushes every time? Stephanie Meyer, and they do it in the movies too. She's like, hey, and he's like always touching the wig. It's just a story, Bella. For those listening, I am doing ridiculous.
She's doing this. She's acting it out. Like it seems that Danica's really like visual. She's a born performer as well as a writer. So maybe
all those years on improv and community theater.
Oh yeah. So if they ever make a movie, watch out. She's gonna be making a cameo. Like,
listen, I tried to get cast in New Moon when it was like a MySpace bulletin. Do you remember that? I mean, myself. But they had an open casting call, but I was not qualified, even with my tribal ID, because I did not look Native enough. And I was like, I want to be background. I was like, it was like
please,
dagger to the heart.
And instead they were like, let's cast people who are just tan.
Like Taylor
not
Lautner,
actually
you know, like
native.
my great great grandma. He's not okay. Just for the
No,
record, Taylor Lautner's not.
No, no. But they did for the first movie. They had Catherine Hardwicke. She like because they were filming on. I don't think they filmed on the Quilly res, but they filmed on like a res in Oregon, and she like for like the who inevitably got cast for New Moon, but like Jacob's like friends. They just
Mhm.
like walked up to like teenagers like on the reservation. We're like, hey, want to be in this movie like real quick? So we
Yeah,
got that.
and Chaske Spencer, he,
Yeah.
you know, I hope I hope he gets more work.
Hmm.
Make my books into movies, and we'll get you work,
And cast
Chaske.
him.
I
Yeah.
don't know. He did the English with Emily Blunt. This is like going on a weird tangent, but that I watched the first episode because I was like, oh my God, Chaske Spencer, he's good. Okay. And it was so bad. I'm sorry, Emily Blunt. Apparently, she lives in my hometown.
Does she?
Yeah. Okay. I have been at the Vons here, and like, there's this guy I see every now and then who's really tall, and I was like, that dude looks like John Krasinski.
And it's John. That's
Yeah. And then
crazy.
literally everyone's like, no, no, they live here. We see him all the time. And I was like, I don't know. I'm chasing a 3 year
That's
old, but
wild.
yeah. Sorry to my neighbor.
Oh,
She's living in
Brady,
a
like
fancy
your
mansion
movie.
area.
Yeah.
But no, it's so like she's like, and he says, in Pony, I cherish you.
Oh,
And it's all British people playing like
yeah.
Southern people, and they're filming it in Spain. And it just was all shades of bad. And I was like laughing the whole time. And I was like telling my husband, I was like, I can't finish this. I can't.
Like,
It's
I'm so
not
sorry.
good. Um, happy for them. They got to play in a Western. I guess it's every actor's dream. They get to play cowboys and Indians.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's talk. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about within the context of like the cowboy trend and how cowboys and Indians is like the American zeitgeist, like that's so steeped in our culture. And yet the yours is kind of one of the first or the first native cowboy romances. I mean, I feel like there are a lot of obvious answers to why, but I would be curious to see how like your perspective, like what's your perspective on that?
It's honestly, it's erasure. So in
Hmm.
America, we are, when I say we, royal we indigenous
Yes.
people are invisible.
Hmm.
Even though you see us in Hollywood movies since the inception of the camera, they were going around taking photos of indigenous people, putting them in costumes and making them look sad or whatever because there was a propaganda, an image that they meaning people in Hollywood, people in arts or whatever, were trying to portray the Indian. And there's propaganda you could still find today, right? Like kill the buffalo, kill the Indian, scalping, all of that, like trying to get rid of us. But then with the invention of like the film and the silent film era, and the first one is like a train robbery, and there's cowboys and Indians. And I did my undergrad huge capstone on indigenous representation in film, mainly female representation, and how you had, and there's this book by um, Emma Rubio, and it's called the Celluloid Princess. And there's two versions of indigenous women in these films in those early era. It was the princess who was like the daughter of the chief, the quote Pocahontas-esque person who falls for the cowboy and helps the cowboy, but dies in that help. So they don't actually end up together. And then you have the crone. They use a different word with an S, which is a slur. And that is what's been perpetuated for years. And then you have, it's kind of evolved in the 90s. There was this renaissance. Well, I mean, you had the John Wayne Western, right? So the silent, you
Right.
had John Wayne, and then
Right,
you
right,
had the
right.
spaghetti Western with Clint Eastwood. And then there was like a lull. And then with the 90s, you had Dances with Wolves, The Last of the Mohicans, and people were really into Native Americans again. And there was the stories that their great great grandparents were indigenous,
A
or I was
Cherokee
adopted by these
princess.
tribes. And
Yeah.
the tribes was like a revolving door of just like all these different tribes, which I do make fun of in the Truth According to Ember with Sasha
Yes.
Stormcloud, because it's ridiculous. There was this woman who went viral in Sedona, and she was like speaking um, the Pandora, the aliens in Avatar, James
Yeah.
Cameron's. She was
Yeah.
speaking whatever like the ICU type stuff. And she was just like
No.
literally speaking, yeah. And that went around like Indian Twitter, and we were just like joking about that. So I did kind of incorporate that into this Asha
Yeah.
Stormcloud character. But the proximity to whiteness. So being Indian is okay. And like I'm saying Indian, like the casual way, like the letters NDN in all caps. With Dances with Wolves, right? You have Kevin Costner who befriends the Lakota Sioux and falls in love with the only white woman who is in the tribe, who was saved by them and can, so, you know, and like her hair is atrocious. I'm like, they didn't give her a comb. Everyone else has combed hair.
Right.
And they like tease it to hell. It looks so bad. It's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
And with The Last of the Mohicans, where Daniel Day-Lewis's character is a white man who was raised in proximity to the Mohican Indians. Right. And then, you know, he saves Madeline Stowe's character, the only white woman who has, I'm sorry, her accent's so bad. I'm like, she's British, she's Scottish. What is this accent?
Who knows? Who knows?
What is this? And, you know, but Wes Studi is amazing, brilliant. You know, the Indigenous actors, I don't fault any Indigenous actor doing any of these films, right? Because we get cast in absolutely nothing. Never are people doing colorblind casting where they're like, oh, this lead could be Indigenous. It's like, no, why? We have to qualify why we're there in any instance. So right now with the resurgence, because, and I do believe it's because of Yellowstone, how popular Yellowstone became, it's single-handedly funding Paramount, you know, streaming, they, you know, $250 million to Taylor Sheridan to pump out more of these spinoffs. And it's that lie of manifest destiny that Americans love, that the expanding the frontier, the West, and only these white people can care for this land that was never theirs, but somehow they care for it more than any of these other people, you know, tribes that were there.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a clip, because I've never even seen the show, but there was a clip that was going around and it was like, they're trying to take our land. It's like what happened with the Indians. And it's like, no, it's not. No, it's not, because no one's bringing you pox-infected blankets.
Right.
No. And then you see all the billionaires wearing the cowboy hats. So just like, yeah, like they're trying to get the land, right? Because that is the last finite resource. Like when there's no more land happening.
Right.
So right now, what, you know, I don't think I've made a lot of friends because of it, but I am very vocal about Cowboy and representation.
Yeah.
Right now there's like Elsie Silver, and then there's also Bailey Hanna. I see those every time I go to stores, that like all the, you know, they're Canadian cowboys. And the difference between the United States with Indigenous representation is in the United States where it's erasure. We're invisible. Nobody, like, I've been told to my face by employers, like, oh, Indians don't exist anymore. You're a conquered people. You don't get, you know, like, yeah. And then in Canada, it is vitriol to Indigenous people. There's the socialized healthcare system and everything. And I've read awful articles of how pregnant women were just thrown in the snow and not treated for miscarriages or births or after births, not getting aftercare. And then there's something like man camps, which we do have in America, but more so in Canada, more so at the borders with the pipelines. So I do encourage people to read about that and the atrocities that happen in these man camps to the Indigenous population and the missing and murdered Indigenous movement. But if you're going to write cowboys in 2025, in this modern context, and you're not mentioning Indigenous people at all whose land you are on, you're intentionally contributing to the erasure of our people. And I did write an article about it, and that like it's impossible to talk about cowboys and not think about Native Americans, First Peoples, First Nations, you know, Indigenous people. The game was always cowboys and Indians. You know, like it's impossible. If you think cowboy, all the imagery that comes from it, the turquoise
like
jewelry,
hand in hand.
the beaded head hat bands, the bolos, like all this comes from Indigenous culture, Indigenous Mexican culture, Indigena. Like the first cowboys truly were vaqueros. So white people were not these cowboys. That's not just in historical context. Like that was a derogatory word. So I think people like to romanticize the frontier and the West and the cowboy or whatever. But you know, when I see online all the time, especially on threads, which is predominantly like it's just book threads, it's kind of like where my algorithm is. You know, I'm looking for escapism. I don't like to read BIPOC books because I can't relate. I read to escape. And you're just like, okay, recommend, like, I love Cowboy, recommend Cowboy. And it's all the same white cowboy romances. And I do take note, like the prominent ones who don't uplift any women of color writing in this sphere, you know, like, and a lot of people notice that when you're in a position of power and you're not, because I feel like, you know, rising tides rights all ships. Lila Sage, I think, is incredible. She's somebody that's always talking about, you know, very publicly, you know, these issues. And there's an author I just was introduced to, Amy Berry. She's Australian, and she was talking about that in a podcast. And it was just such a very educated, like, historical lens talking about these things. And I'm like, that is the bare minimum. If you're going to be promoting Western, anything like that, you need to be in 2025 talking about these things. And if you're not, like, there's a very obvious reason why you're not, you know? Like, no shade, no tea, but, like, you know, call it what it is at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just hope people can have an open mind, because mine is an Indigenous cowboy community experience in this book. And I feel like it's written in a way that's accessible to all people, inclusive to all people. Like, you can read about Native Americans as a white person, and I feel like you can laugh with us, you can cry with us. And not to say that there aren't white people in this book, there are. It's a colorful cast. I truly believe our books should reflect the world that we live in. And if you are living in any rural area and you go to any Walmart, you know, in that area, you walk around, there's Indigenous people around you. Like, people just either don't see us or usually think we're, you know, Mexican or something. But even then, it's just like, ignore, less than, you know? So I feel like it went really deep here. Cowboy.
No, I get it. No, I mean, that makes, I was recently listening to an episode of Adriana Herrera and Nikki Payne's Unbound podcast, and they did like a whole series of like on the Western romance, and they talked to Beverly Jenkins, who's like, you know, the Western historical icon. And yeah, and they were pointing out, you know, how cowboy, the word cowboy did not start out as like a term of respect. And, you know, now that it's been sort of reinvented with like the John Wayne and the Clint Eastwood, like, now it's okay to call white men cowboys, but before, when it was, you know, Indigenous and slaves and, you know, people of color, the white men were cow hands, and, you know, the BIPOC people were cowboys. And so, you know, it's kind of, I guess, important to acknowledge that history of, it's only popular and exciting for white people now that they've, I mean,
revisionist history,
essentially. Now that it's been like whitewashed, now that it's like, it's cool to be a cowboy. It's not something that's
it's degrading. American values. You're an American, not just any. You're a real American. You're out there riding the horse, sowing the land, maybe farming, maybe not. And you have a lot of people who play, like Jeff Bezos, like he's costumed.
And all those politicians that are wearing cowboy boots. I really like that guy. He was on Twitter. I don't know if he ever moved over to Threads, but like the menswear guy, who basically just does threads where he like critiques famous men and their suit. He's like, this is why their suits don't fit. Here's what you should do.
Oh, like, I don't know who
this suit doesn't fit. I'll link it below. I'm sure if you just search like menswear guy, but he did like a whole thread on, I forget which politician. And he was like,
what's his name? The Florida one.
Yeah, that one.
DeSantis, yeah. He was wearing the cowboy boots with the lifts.
Yes, and he was like, listen, there's nothing wrong if you want to incorporate like cowboy boots into your suits, but like, this is why they don't look good on it. Like, he was like, his pants don't fit or whatever. So it's this kind of ridiculous cosplay of, you know, rugged individualism or whatever.
And then like, since early 2000s, I mean, it's till now, you go to Coachella or you know, and you see the feather war bonnet. That's why I incorporated the feather war bonnet in Love is
Yeah.
a War Song, why that is such a thing that harms Avery
Yeah.
doing that.
Right.
How her faux pas, like tenfold, but then you have Cher, Carly Kloss, and Victoria's Secret.
We're all doing it. Right.
Yeah, which when Carly Kloss did it on the Victoria's Secret fashion show, I think I was a senior in high school, and I like idolized. She was like friends with Taylor Swift and stuff, and people were like, and I just
Right.
remember going like, "Oh, I don't think it's that bad," and then
Yeah.
being dumb and young, and Chickasaw, we don't have the feather warp on it. That's a different, and then learning
Right.
about it, I'm just like, "Ooh, that is not good. That is bad." But the message of the themes of community in Love is a War Song, the themes of redemption, like I truly believe like we are given one life to live, and we're human, and humans are prone to mistakes. And I feel like every person is not beyond redemption, be character growth. They have to do the amends, they have to do the work. But we can't just stop living. I think sometimes people online, they're like the only thing you can do is like off yourself, and you're just like, wait, there has to
Right.
be room for nuance and conversation. And
Right.
like I do think that like quote cancel culture, like what is that? Because you
Right.
see with J.K. Rowling still getting more money, more book deals, more movie
Yeah.
deals, more
Right. Right.
that doesn't exist with people who are so in power. I do think that there are marginalized women who maybe have made mistakes and like have not come back from it.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what it was really. So first of all, like the beginning of Love is a War Song, I was like cringing so hard. I was like, "Oh, Avery, please God, stop. Somebody say something." But it's the whole listener, like the whole plot of that book sort of hinges on the fact that Avery, despite being, a native singer, gets so much, hate and criticism, and rightfully so, to an extent. And I think you make that clear in the book, but like seemingly so much more than I've ever seen directed at a white person doing native cosplay. And we see that in like real life. Like it's absolutely like when in a marginalized person, whether they're queer or native or black or, whatever, they always get like if they make the tiniest step off, especially when it's in regards to their own identity, they get the most blowback. And a lot of times, like you said, it's a lot harder for a marginalized person to kind of crawl their way back, whereas a lot of other, bigger, more privileged creators are, quiet for 2 months and then,
Yeah, get another book deal. I mean, there's the author that
right,
wrote a KKK romance that's hitting the
right.
New York Times right now, and like you're like, well,
Yes.
that's weird. But when a publisher's making money, they will continue to try to make
Right.
money.
Right.
And
Right.
I do think I don't know that person in particular if there was like growth or a true apology and like
Hmm.
but like I just think I see those things. It's hard not to feel resentful when you're like clawing your way for
Right.
anything. Try when you see on Publishers Marketplace, that's a place where book deals
Hmm.
are posted. It's expensive to have access. I don't have access anymore. But then you see screenshots of things that like people are excitedly posting, and
Yeah.
my own publisher seeing the 3, 4, 5 book deals for Cowboy romance, white Cowboy romance right now, and
Hmm.
how hard it was for me to get just another one book deal.
Right. Right.
And I'm honest about it. I'm vocal about it. I'm a
Hmm.
transparent person. I don't believe in artifice. And I just don't think it helps anybody, especially people after me, if I'm silent. With Ember, I was silent a lot. I was a baby newbie author. I was just like, didn't know
Right.
anything. I did a lot of press. And what was asked of me constantly was, do you feel pressure as the first Indigenous Native rom-com writer? Like, do you feel pressure to succeed? I'm like, yeah,
Hmm.
people buy the book, like, and then
Yeah.
when it didn't hit the list and
Right.
it didn't get a whole lot of distribution, my print run wasn't like huge. Love is a War Song print run is smaller than my debut.
Hmm.
Neither have I've been told I've been gone to second printings. Barnes and Noble, like big bookstores, did not make huge orders of Ember. There's been returns. That's just kind of like the nature
Hmm.
of the business. Love is a
Hmm.
War Song, when I had a marketing meeting 10 weeks before release and it was not a single retailer order, I was pissed and I held on to it
Yeah.
for like a week. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to be silent. Like,
Yeah.
this is wrong. You see, every bookstore has Cowboy romance, stacks and stacks of the same white books. And
Right.
they don't even include Rebecca Weatherspoon, Sabrina Soule,
Right.
Marcella Bell. And that's wrong. And I got a lot of attention because I said that.
Yeah.
But still, it's like in my area, I'm not in a lot of the Barnes and Nobles in my own
Yeah.
area for either book. And it was heartbreaking when I debuted and my husband and I were like, let's drive around bookstores and sign books, and going to store after store and not finding my book.
Oh
And I
no.
found one
Yeah.
copy at the Los Angeles Grove, Barnes and Noble. I signed it. And a couple weeks ago, I got tagged that somebody found that book and bought it, and it had sat there for a year. And the like top floor, and I'm happy. But like the Grove didn't buy Love is a War Song. But when I was there last year, they had a lot of Cowboy. So, and it's not like I don't have gratitude. I am grateful to be here and have a book published. But the disparity of how hard it is because it's Indigenous, because they're so brown on the cover, versus the people who just like Elsie Silver doesn't have anyone on her covers, like wild something. It's different. And it's not that those books are better than mine. And I'm not saying my books are better. It's just how they're treated.
Right.
And it does frustrate me. I'm not going to lie to you and be like, oh,
Yeah.
it's totally fine. No,
No,
I'm
and you
vocal. I'm
deserve to
like,
be frustrated.
if you see my book, put it on the table. Like, that's what I did. I put it on the table next to all the other Cowboy romance.
Yeah.
Um, I'm working on something now that I'm really excited about. I hope I can sell it,
Hmm.
and I hope people, it's a satire. It's I have stories to tell. And it is
Hmm.
frustrating when it's like, no, we don't want that book from you. No, we don't want this from you. But then my white peers
Right.
get a title that, like, I'm not allowed to
Right.
have the titles, but like another person gets the title. You know what I mean? Like, I see it and it's
Right.
hard not to just be like,
Yes.
what? When is it that I've proven enough? I haven't. I don't have the sales or the
Right.
track record. Um, yeah, so I feel like I'm telling you a lot, peeking behind the curtains
No.
of publishing.
No, I mean I worked in Big Five. Like I worked in nonfiction, which is like a slightly different ballgame, but like I get it. I've been part of those discussions and there's definitely been times when I've kind of sat there and been like, are we serious
No, I've
right
had
now?
to fight for myself constantly. Like, even my release week, when there was a big Penguin Random House Cowboy giveaway for audiobooks,
Yeah.
and mine wasn't included, and they were all white cowboy men. And I was
Yeah.
like, what is this?
Right.
And I wrote an email about it. And
Yeah.
shortly after that email, they fixed, I got a different little thing on their Instagram. But we all have to be conscious of
Hmm.
bias and work to make things inclusive, because
Hmm.
default is not inclusive.
Hmm.
And
Right.
just because the ratio of white authors to marginalized authors, there's so many more white authors. So it's already skewed to be
Right.
prioritizing white authors and white stories.
And it looks like white stories are more successful simply because
They
there's
get more
more
marketing
of that
push.
spaghetti being thrown at the wall.
Yeah, you see marketing copy, and I got my business degree at USC, and so qualitative data. I'm like, what can I look at? Quantitative data, qualitative. Like, what can I do? What's going on? How do I measure trends? And like, I was like, okay, I think Cowboy's going to be the thing, and I'm glad I fought for it. I'm glad I fought for my title
Yeah.
and for my cover. But when you
Yeah,
look
I'm
at
impressed with like, because I feel like I don't identify trends until they're already.
No, I am a nerd for it. And I'm a reader. I'm an avid reader. I love this genre. I wouldn't be writing in it if
Hmm.
I didn't love it. Like,
Hmm.
no offense, but like, very few nonfiction books am I reading in my spare time. They don't
I
kiss enough. Okay.
no, listen, I was a nonfiction editor because I read fiction
Yeah.
and I didn't want to have to like do a job that that made me like reading fiction less. And you
Yeah.
know what? Like,
Fair.
sorry to my authors. I loved working with you and I believed in your books, but I definitely don't read. Yeah, I'm definitely a fiction. I'm there. You don't have to apologize for not reading nonfiction.
Yeah, I mean, I read some every now and then. Okay.
I did a lot of like practical stuff, like self-help stuff. So stuff that you like, you don't read just for fun. Like you read it because
Yeah,
for a
yeah, I want to grow
purpose.
as a person. That's fair. I've read some of
Right, or
those. Yes.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, I'm gonna like I read my Kindle in bed, and I'm like, I
Yes.
need whimsy. I need like I just want them to kiss. You know, that's
I'm
kind of
like,
how I've
ooh, when are
always
they gonna
been.
get? Giggling and kicking my feet.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Love is a War Song, I think, is I'm just happy people are responding to it in such a way.
Hmm.
I think it's got a hook that's, I'm like, did you like, it was an indie film. I don't know if you've heard of it. Hannah Montana, the movie. Bunch of nobodies.
Yeah, who's that? I've never heard. Didn't that win at Sundance one year or something?
But I love that movie, and I'm so glad that so many other
It's
people do.
iconic.
And the nostalgia of those horse movies, like
Hmm.
those were all in shows like Wildfire. Growing up, I
Hmm.
love those, and I never got to see myself,
Yeah.
or like if I ignore the Mexican indigenous side of myself, then it's like, okay, am I palatable enough? And then but that's not the full
Hmm.
story. We live in a complicated world,
Right.
America, and
Right.
they love to categorize us. And right now, I do think I'm a little pigeonholed, and
Hmm.
that's fine. I love writing indigenous stories. Indigenous
Right.
cultures. I try to stick to the five tribes because I'm Chickasaw, and each culture, each language, it's so vastly different, and not like you can substitute things out. I see people try. I think
Hmm.
there's some people who write cowboy, and they have some name, like if there's indigenous people in it, there's like names where I'm like, why did you pick that name? Like, I'm like Sour Eagle. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like at this point you don't have to do that.
It's okay. You know what? You can. It's okay. I feel like also at this point, like in the age of the internet, it's so easy to just Google it or to like reach out to like there's so many like indigenous native voices who are just posting stuff online for free and are like, this is, my culture, this is information.
Give credit though. Don't take things for free. I think a lot of people do, or
No,
they
no, no.
like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. That's what I meant. I meant like you could like reach out to native voices and be like, hey, will you do like a sensitivity read? Can we discuss? And I'll pay you this amount. But then also there's just like you can just on like the first page of Google, like they're there
No, no. I've
already
had people
talking
reach
about
out to
it.
me. Do not reach out to me, please.
Yes.
I I was in line, or I was in line. I was at a signing at this huge convention, and this person was like, "I haven't read your books. I don't have your books. I plan on reading them at some point, but I'm writing a story with the native character inspired by this person in history who's their descendant. Is that okay?" I'm like, I don't
Oh, but
know.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Did you write it? Like it sounds like you've got sensitivity reads in your future, but I don't want to gatekeep indigenous people. Like we should be in your
Right.
stories, but if the only way you think of us is in a very stereotypical stoic sense,
Right.
alcoholic sense, like Taylor Sheridan's Wind River, like the white people come in to save. Do you know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like that's not something I'm interested in reading. But
Right.
I
Right.
know a lot of people glamorize us.
Right.
And I did the panel, like talking and like how people love to tell me their stories of their great great grandparents. And this man came up to me afterwards and he was like, my great great grandma was a little bit Indian.
She was a Cherokee princess.
Didn't even say a tribe, but she's like,
Right.
but I think, and I'm like, dude, you look like you came straight from Sweden. Which genes, how they happen, as what Sydney Sweeney likes to say in American Eagle ad,
Oh
the
my
genes.
gosh. I heard so much about that ad before I actually like heard the audio. When I heard the audio, I was like, dear God. I was like, this wasn't satire?
Imagine if we all talk like this.
Like,
Jeans, my jeans are beautiful. My jeans are strong. My jeans are blonde and blue eyed. My jeans, the way she has her mouth, like I don't
it's
know.
just, I
Like
was
I,
like,
I
can
don't
we
know why
get,
people are shocked. I was like, this chick's been MAGA. She had photos of her
right,
in a MAGA
right,
hat. How are you now
right.
just like seeing it? You know what I mean?
Oh no. distracted by her
Yeah, she
gorgeous
was in
breasts.
Handmaid's Tale and she was like, no, you know what? I want that.
Yeah. She's actually, this sounds great.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, can
This I
we?
love the bonnet. Bring back the bonnet.
She's like that close. And you know what? Sometimes I'm like, why can't we bring back robes and cloaks? You know, sometimes I'm like,
Listen,
I,
I wore my robe. I had this like fuzzy green robe. It was like a blanket. And I'd be wearing that on my work meetings all the time. And like they were making
yeah.
fun of me. I was like, it's cold.
I'm like, what
It's
do you want from me?
cozy. I don't care. I'm doing my job.
Yeah, right. I'm like, why does this matter? Why do you care?
Yeah. I've since upgraded to a cardigan. I got rid of that robe. It was a sad day. But there was a tissue and it got all messed up in the dryer and like I couldn't get it out of the fuzz and it was just
Oh no.
R.I.P. green robe.
Yeah, our
Yeah. Do, 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 do.
right. For those just listening, she just did the Hunger Games salute. So
They'd be like, who
that's
is Danica Nava? She is crazy. She's
hey,
unhinged. Hopefully in the best way.
yes. I mean that's what we are on this pod. I don't think anyone who's been like listened to more than one episode of this podcast is like, yeah, those are normal people. Those are normal mentally well people. It's usually me and my
Listen,
sister. Like it's usually gets
do you think any writer is mentally well? Why do you think we write? We're
no.
escaping something.
Yeah.
I like
Like we
happily
make
ever
up
afters.
stories.
Yes, and I know I've been talking heavy about native rep, but like this is a fun story. Okay, like I wrote it for laughs. I went ham. I was like, this is the native horse rom-com I
Mhm.
always wanted to watch. And so I wrote it. I'm like, this will translate. Everything will translate to the screen. I took screenwriting in undergrad and at Second City in
Yeah.
Chicago. So like with that in mind, that's how I was writing it. Like this would just
Yeah.
translate like whoop, film it exactly as is. Thank you.
It is very listener. I was like, this is the Hannah Montana movie. Like, I was like,
Well, it's kind of, but
I
not
mean, not
really.
copy paste. I'm saying like, I was like, this is. I'm getting those vibes. I'm getting the nostalgia. If Avery whips off a wig at the end, you know, and the whole town keeps her secret, I'm not going to be surprised.
You
But
can change your
it doesn't
mind.
happen.
You can change your
Yeah,
hair and your clothes. You always
right.
find your way back home.
Exactly.
The climb. No, the original ending, I had Carrie Underwood make an appearance because she's Muskogee. There's a joke in
Is
there.
she
She
actually?
is actually
Okay, because
Muskogee.
I was like, I can't tell whether this is just like a gag or not. Like,
No, no, it's
is she
that is
actually?
real. She
I did
is.
not know that. That's so funny.
But then my editor, rightfully so, was like, this should be Avery's moment. Like, she shouldn't be upstaged by Carrie Underwood. But if it was a movie, I would for sure be like, Carrie, you want to make a cameo appearance? You
Yeah.
sing your lessons learned song from that album. That was like middle school. I don't know. We were voting for her to win. We're like, oh
I
my
dug
gosh. My mom was like, I think I knew an Underwood in Oklahoma. Like, everybody knows everyone out there.
everybody, the whole state of Oklahoma knows an under. Yeah. Yeah, so is Avery's next song gonna be like a I dug my keys into the side like till he cheats kind of?
No, I think I would. I've just been thinking about it. So the heartbeat song is something that my husband and he wrote it and I like tweaked some stuff. And he wants to record it. And
Hmm.
we moved and he's fixing
Yeah.
up the garage and so we don't have the studio anymore right now. But we did the Warrior Tonight that you can stream
Hmm.
everywhere for free by Avery Fox. You just Google it,
Yeah.
Spotify, Apple, whatever. It's a bop. And then I would be honored if we could do like a remix, like she talks about in the epilogue, and do a couple different,
Hmm.
indigenous tribes and languages.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be really cool.
So maybe if we get funding for a movie, that's what I like. Imagine like Kyla Garcia is my narrator. She's fabulous,
Hmm.
and she surprised everyone at my Anaheim event and did a live reading and then joined me and JC Lee on the
Oh,
couch and
that's
we like all had this
amazing.
like awesome
Yeah.
conversation and we're talking about a movie and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to make this happen. Like I feel like studios, whatever. I took a producing workshop, whatever. I've
Right.
got a lead on funding. I think I can make it happen. I just need to be writing full time, not working full time. And I was like, can you imagine all Indigenous cast, all Indigenous artist soundtrack doing covers of country standards on top of original music?
Yeah,
We would
that would be
sweep
awesome.
Sundance. I would like, it's
That would be amazing.
going
That
to
would be
happen.
so amazing.
I've got a lot of stuff in the works. I'm a kooky person. I like to just create.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, so everyone
That's
just buy the book so I can make it happen. Please.
yes.
Please.
Please, I'm begging you, but
Library checkouts, anything, Goodreads reviews, love
right.
it. I don't know. People do really like it though. Like people hated Ember. They were like, she lies too much. Not everyone. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got a lot of people who loved it. But the things that tagged me on Instagram was like 4 stars. Took a star off because there wasn't a male POV, or took a star off because she
yeah.
lied
Oh,
too much. I was just like,
you know what? Sometimes we don't need to hear from men, and that's okay.
well, my third book that I've written, I did put the male POV. So
Oh,
yeah, hope y'all happy.
okay.
Not that they bullied me into it. The story just required it. The story of Ember didn't. Well, that's not what I intended for it. And with
Mm-hmm.
Love is a War Song, that's also not what I intended for it. It's very
Mm-hmm.
much that like millennial rom com. It's her POV.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll do some Lucas chapters. I'm told I need to start a newsletter. There's like, yeah, please give me another task.
Right. So many people have like Substacks and stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I have the time for that.
Yeah, no, I hate blogging. Can't think of anything worse to do. And like when I'm writing a book, I have time to write it, look over it, check for typos. Blog, you're kind of like, you got to really quickly get those out. And like,
Mhm.
I've got typos or the autocorrect, you know what I mean? And I don't need that. But I do think it would be fun to put like, for the truth according to Ember, have the truth as Donowa sees it. So have his POV like of when
Yeah.
they met. I've been thinking about that.
Oh,
And then maybe like an extended epilogue. The epilogue in Love is a War Song kind of happens quickly, like because they're
yeah.
young. Somebody was like, I would have preferred a 5 years where they're married with kids. And I'm like, that's not where they're at.
You're
At
like,
the end of this book.
that's okay.
That's a newsletter one. It's like maybe, I don't know.
Right.
But if I were to have like a Substack newsletter, I've been thinking of like what I would call it. And my dream is to be on like a late night show.
Hmm.
Like I I need to be on Jimmy Fallon, okay? Or Seth Meyers. Then I can share my celebrity beef that I have with somebody.
Oh,
And I would name names.
can
I would.
I, if I promise to cut it out of the episode, tell me. There's there are a few famous people like around the town that I grew up in and also am currently living in, because they're all buying like farms on the town over, like Bradley Cooper and like the Hadids are there.
Okay.
And they'll always be like in the neighborhood Facebook group, like Bradley Cooper spotted at like insert local bar, or like the Hadids are at like the waffle like small business or whatever. They're getting waffles right now.
Oh
Like,
my God, that's so funny. I mean, I grew up here where I live,
yeah.
and I remember seeing Reese Witherspoon when she was pregnant.
Hmm.
I was 16 and I ran into Steve Martin, but I thought he was just a lost old man. And he was like just walking in a circle. And I was like, are you lost, sir? And he's like, no.
I'm just Steve Martin.
Yes. No. And I didn't have patience for it because I was 16. And I was just like, okay. And I walked away. And my friend was like, that was the father of the bride. And I was like, dang it. I tried to help him.
I try.
I did my best. I'm too honest. I'm too open. It's not good. I wear my heart on my sleeve. It's tough being in this industry. I did do the like star chart thing, so I'm a Pisces. So I
Nice.
am sensitive, I guess, with a Sagittarius moon,
Oh, okay. I
Leo
don't know what
rising.
I don't know
So
what it
that
means.
means I'm a bitch. Just kidding.
Yes. Well, no, okay. So I'm a Scorpio. That's the only one I know. I'm like that's my, I guess, my sun. I don't know. I'm a Scorpio. And all I know from all the BuzzFeed quizzes and all the like, here's the aesthetic for like each whatever, is that Scorpios are assholes. It's like, which character from this are you? And it's like the sexy villain, but it's
Oh,
always the villain. You know what I
okay.
mean?
But
It's
like
like you are
that's
hot and evil.
It's better
and
than
I'll
being a
take
bit
it.
side character. You know what I mean? No name
Right.
NPC. You're like, no, I'm the villain.
You're like,
I'm a
have,
star.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know too much other than like what I'm told
Right.
is that
Right.
I am sensitive, which I didn't need anyone to tell me that. I know I'm sensitive. I'm a baby. Danica is baby.
I'm
Okay.
just a baby.
I'm just trying to figure out this life that's hard. And I'm outgoing. Like I can be. Like I'm one of those like
Okay.
extroverted people that needs a lot of quiet alone time at home to
Right.
recover. But I love to be on stage. I like I'm very
Yeah.
on at home on stage and performing, and that's how
Yeah.
I met my husband doing a play. So
Oh, what play?
Macbeth, very romantic.
Perfect. Were you Lord and Lady Macbeth, or were you
I
other
was
characters?
supposed to be, and then they're like, "Yeah, you're going to be witch number one and gentlewoman." And they like called me before the read through, and I was like, my ego. I was like, ah. So then I was like, all right, I'll go to the read through, see what's about, and then I'm going to say like I was doing an accelerated program at night school
Mm-hmm.
to finish my undergrad. Yeah, my education journey was like a lot, and I was working full time
Yeah.
as a paralegal, so it wasn't like I really didn't sleep a lot.
Right.
But then I locked eyes with my husband at the read through, and I was like, which number one is so bad?
Hey, I'm number one. I'm still
Hey,
number one.
I had this summer romance doing this play, and now going on almost 10 years, married with a kid.
That's such a rom-com.
And it is like such dumb advice when you're like young and you're like, oh, boys just don't like me. They're like, you just have to do what it is that you love and the right person, like the right time.
Right.
And it sucks because no one wants to wait. And like, you want to have
Right.
that, like, oh my God, it's Zac Efron chose me and we locked out. You know what I mean? Like, this didn't happen.
Right.
But it is true that I was focusing on myself and I love plays. And my husband had never done one except Oliver as a child. And he was doing it as a favor for a friend. And he just was like for fun and never done one since. And it was just all the stars aligned for us to meet at that moment.
That was so, oh my gosh. That really is a rock. That's the pitch that book. Just like,
I'm like too honest. Like, what secrets do you want to know about what I'm working on? The ending?
well, hopefully it's at AGA if you're writing.
Yeah, well, of course.
Joke's on you. I already know the end.
Yeah. I always I love talking about the tooth scene, but it happens so late in Warsong that it's like I want to like spoil anything for people. But when you get to the tooth
I've seen
scene,
like a reel of you. You were like,
yeah, I know.
You did the tooth.
Threads, they were like, we really like that video. And my husband was like, it's so like, lacking in vanity that it's endearing. That's what he said. And I'm like, I'm a goof. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't.
I mean, they tell you to be real TM on Reels.
But I am. Like, what am I going to do? My hair and makeup every time I'm about to film myself? No. Can't be bothered. Sometimes. But even then, no.
Yeah. I'm just starting to do video for this podcast. We've been audio for a long time. And I was like, damn it, video has stuck around for podcasts. So like maybe I should start doing that. And I put on makeup for this. Listener, don't get used to it. Like this is the same thing. This is an ongoing cycle of my whole life. At the beginning of college, my first corporate job, the first few months, every day I made up. And then I'm like, it's okay. So enjoy the makeup while you can.
I was working for this horrible production company at Raleigh Studios in LA, and I was pulled aside by one of the executive producers, and he told me to go on a walk with him, in which he told me I needed to dress sexier in the office and I needed to wear makeup.
What's his name and address? I just want to talk.
I think that dude got arrested. So karma finds people. I really believe it.
God.
That dude was awful. Yeah, the whole situation, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a scam. They were like doing really shady practices. And it was my first job. I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. I get to be a paid intern at this studio, at this production company.
Yeah.
And they had lied saying they had William Shatner signed on for this film. And then they were just like calling old people to get their money as investors and then like spending it. It was, was like I was like, this doesn't seem legal. And then I left, and then it was like the office was raided by the FBI and
Yeah. That
arrested.
sounds like a pyramid or like a
Yeah,
Ponzi scheme or something.
I was
At
like,
least
none
they
of this
paid
is
you.
right.
I was gonna say paid intern.
I was a paid intern, not a
Something.
lot, until the
Yeah.
checks didn't clear. And like that's why I was like, and I got the other girls. It was all young, girls who were trying to make it in
Yeah.
Hollywood. And like I was like, I don't think this is a legitimate business. I was like, this doesn't seem legal. And I was like, we need to make plans to get
Like
out
we
of
need to
here.
leave before the
They're like,
FBI
no, they made these. I'm like,
come.
this man is insane. I was like, he crashed his Mercedes on. So he was like, hi. I had to open the office one morning and I came in and there was like lines of cocaine and like $100 bills and he was gone. And the car was like crashed into a
Oh,
planter.
okay, wait. Can I keep that? Can I keep
Yeah,
this
sure.
story in? Okay. I was like,
This is
let me
why I
make
want to
sure.
write my Hollywood actor native rom-com,
Yeah.
because I was there doing open casting calls, trying to audition. I was
Yeah.
there. I've been in places, in rooms, like I just
Yeah.
have a different perspective. I feel like there's a lot of acting rom-coms and these people live in like Wisconsin or something and they're like, think that's how Hollywood works. And I'm like, I was there. Don't tell me which. I was there when the dark magic was read.
I was thinking, I was like, this is like it's like the Avery Fox side of Love is a War Song. I was like, okay, so you lived. I was like, this feels realistically chaotic from my limited understanding.
Like too specific. And it's fine. I'm just here. You know what I mean? And I'm going to
Fine.
stay. I have got stories
Yeah.
to tell.
Yeah. Keep writing. Keep
It's how I
writing for
process the world.
publishing.
It's kind of a crazy world we're living in right now. And writing helps me process it.
Do we want to talk about some cowboy romance besides the yours, obviously, and
Yes. Everyone should read The Wildest Ride by Marcella Bell. She
okay.
is a Muskogee.
Wait, that's on my list too.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Is it because you saw me post about it? No, I'm just kidding.
No. Yeah, I actually just trolled all your social media. I was like, what is she going to talk about so I can talk about it first?
I'm kidding. But we could talk about it together. But The Wildest
Yeah.
Ride by Marcella Bell. It is sexy. The freedmen, like, what are the freedmen? The 5 tribes, when they were displaced in the forced removal, many owned enslaved people, which is messed up. And right now, there was just a ruling where the Muskogee freedmen are now going to be granted citizenship. And this is amazing. The Cherokee have already had legislation where they gave the Cherokee freedmen citizenship. I'm hoping the other remaining 5 tribes, like the Chickasaw Nation, I'm Chickasaw, the freemen deserve citizenship and all the benefits from the tribe. I feel like there's a lot of anti-blackness in Oklahoma, the South proximity. It's we can do better, and people are working within the tribes through these lawsuits and things to make it better. So I don't think many people have seen freedmen in literature. So Wildest Ride, cowboy romance, sexy, hot. Marcella Bell's also like one of the best humans I've ever encountered in my life. She read an early copy of War Song when I thought it was the worst thing I've ever written. And she was like, no, it's good. And I was like, I'm afraid if you tell me it's good.
We all need a friend who's like, listen, it's okay.
No, she's like, this is funny. I was like, is it? Does it? I was like, this doesn't say anything. She's like, yes, it does. You're just so hard on yourself. And she's just such a light in the world where she's just amazing. And so she has this one, and also Rodeo Queen. Where is that? I thought I had it out. The Rodeo Queen. Sorry. It's a mess here. My desk is a mess. Anyway, Rodeo Queen. Also hot. You got Sierra,
Clinch.
Diablo. It's horses.
Very nice.
She writes, I want her, she needs to blow up.
Yeah.
Then there's the Rancho Lindo series by Sabrina Soul. I'm a Kindle reader, so those are on my Kindle.
No, I'm mostly library and stuff, so I never have books to show people.
And then The Cowboys of California by Rebecca Weatherspoon. And I hear that Rebecca is writing more cowboys, new cowboys. So I think Rebecca's about to take the world by
We
storm
are
by the lasso
by
ring.
the
She's like,
lasso, by the horn. Yeah, I mean, isn't that literally by the horn?
by the horn. Yeah,
Isn't
yeah,
it?
that's
Isn't that
right.
from Saddlehorn? Now that I think about it,
It
that's
is cowboy culture. It's me with my pretend belt
Cowboys.
buckle.
Oh, we love Rebecca Weatherspoon here. Yeah. Yeah, and I want to recommend, well, I feel like this is cowboy adjacent and everybody's been talking about it recently and I'm still waiting for it to come off hold from the library because it had like a 16-week long wait, but August Lane by
Yes,
Regina Black, which is about
country,
country singers.
southern,
So cowboy
sexy.
adjacent, not cowboy, but and it's like a second chance. There's like betrayal. Like I love when people are a little toxic
Yeah,
before
he
they
took
fall in
credit for the song
love.
she wrote.
Yeah. Yes.
I
Yeah.
think that it's such a sexy story. I got an
Hmm.
arc of it, and I am in awe. Like sometimes, there's like authors where you're just kind of
Yeah.
like, why do I even try? Because this exists.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I'm like, you just do it so easily. I'm like, did you just wake up one morning and decide to write a masterpiece?
Yeah. Regina Black is like somebody to watch, somebody you should be
Hmm.
reading, not just in conversation of like in comparison to the queen that is Kennedy Ryan. Like Kennedy Ryan is in a
Hmm.
league of her own, Tia Williams. But like
Yes.
if you are reading people, authors who have like drama, prose that's beautiful,
Hmm.
yearning, and a romance, like
Yeah.
all the white contemporary, like Regina Black is like has to be
Yes.
in conversation. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
she's in a league
Yes.
of her own.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm so excited to read August. I keep like checking my holds lists, being like, what is it? And then it's like, your library's acquired 10 additional copies. And I'm like, more.
You're so lucky. My library does not connect to Libby and they don't have romance. It's really
Well,
lame.
I have a lot of libraries
Oh,
that I've
lucky.
made. I'm like a like Pokemon trainer. Like I collect libraries. Like so, like I have my local county library, and they're not on Libby either. But then I have my sister lives in Austin, so I have the Austin Public Library. She used to live in
Oh,
Nashville, so she still has the Nashville Public Library. And then I have Philadelphia because anyone who lives in Pennsylvania can get access to the Philadelphia. So I'm like,
that's amazing. Collected. That's great.
there are a lot of libraries that'll like give you for like it's like $25 a year. Like you get access to their whole like big city libraries. I think Queens lets you do that.
Oh, I had no idea.
Hmm.
You just blown my mind, Allison.
There are a few like there are a few. There's like one in yeah. I'm like making a list. I'm making a list that's taking a long time. But there's like quite a few that like for less than $50 a year you get like access to their full
Okay.
catalog.
Now, this might be a dumb question, but like, can you connect your Kindle to Libby or does it have to be an app?
Yes. Yes. So
So
you
I thought Kindle was
can
just locked to Amazon Kindle.
well, okay, so I swear to God, I heard that like Amazon owns Overdrive and Overdrive bought Libby. I don't know. I feel like Libby and Amazon are connected in some way from like a business standpoint. And it's been like that for a while now. But you have the option to send your ebook to, you can either read it on Libby or you can send it to your Kindle. And then you just like, once you finish reading it, you just like return it. And I know a lot of people will do like, if they're not done the book, but the due date's coming up, they'll like turn off the Wi-Fi on their Kindle and then it doesn't return. So they can
Oh,
finish
good.
the
Okay.
book.
So this needs further
Yes.
research for me, but I'm
Yes.
excited for the
But yeah,
prospect.
I do read. Yeah, I do read. I do send the ebooks. I'm mostly an audiobook girly, but
Okay.
I do send the ebooks to my Kindle.
I am, I just love that paper white. So nice on my eyes. I'm in
I
bed.
know.
Usually my daughter's in bed with me. She likes,
Yeah.
and I not disturbing anyone as I'm reading my books.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, the one other, because we've already talked about Beverly Jenkins, Rebecca Weatherspoon, Marcella Bell. The one other cowboy I wanted to recommend was Three to Love by Rebel Carter, which is a polyamorous MMF swords crossing.
I have a story about Beverly Jenkins. Last year,
Please.
I was at Steamy LitCon and
Hmm.
the icon that is Beverly Jenkins walked by and the food line was really long and she was confused like where's the end and then my friend Maya Ariel was standing next to me. If you like romance stories, if you loved Mariah Carey and Derek Jeter's like short romance, you should read No Ordinary Love, because that's inspired and influenced that story. And she just writes such sexy, like, if you love Regina Black, if you love Tia Williams, if you love Kennedy Ryan, Maya Ariel, again, one of those authors you need to auto buy. But we're standing together and she was like talking, and I was like, do you want to cut us in line?
Yeah. I feel like the whole line should have been like,
here you go. And she's like, oh, thank you. And then she's like, do you want a picture? I'm like, yeah.
She sensed it. She's like,
I would have done it just for the honor of standing behind Beverly Jenkins in line. But she was just so sweet and so awesome. Yeah. And she loves, what I learned is she loves doing cruises and like with readers. And I don't know how. God, I was invited. I was like, can't get me on a cruise boat, okay? No, not gonna happen.
Yeah, that's not for me.
In the middle of the ocean, I could do a river cruise. Hell no.
I could do a river cruise, and that's it.
Maybe I'll do a sailboat. I used to do, like, my grandma and grandpa, they would like rent a sailboat and we'd like go in the harbor.
I do love a sailboat. Yeah.
I'm not gonna go in the open ocean on a huge thing. Like, no.
I've seen Titanic.
Sound fun. Yeah.
I know how this ends.
Everyone's like, the Disney ones are amazing. I'm like, I don't like the whole service. Like, people are meant to serve me as if because I paid for it, I'm like better than. It's just a complicated thing. Growing up poor like I did, like, I don't know. Anyway, it's stories, but that's Beverly Jenkins is amazing.
She's amazing. Yeah, I mean, Beverly Jenkins is like my palate cleanser. When I've read like a few books where I'm like, like if I really hate something, I'll just DNF it. But if I read it for books where I'm like, that was fine, I finished it, and I'm like, I need something that's gonna like get me back into reading again.
Yeah,
I'm like, I need something that I know that's gonna hit every single beat, and I'm like, let's go to Beverly Jenkins' backlist. And because she has like 60 books or something. So like, I'm never going to run out. She's like my breaking case of emergency. Like, I need something.
She's amazing. And another, Mimi Matthews. So she's South Asian mix and white. And she has a lot of historicals. And she's also at Berkeley. But I actually was reading her, like, a lot of her indie backlist. And then became friends since I was in Berkeley, and I was like, you don't have no idea. I've reread Work of Art like probably 12 times, because it is the book that when my anxiety is so bad and I can't sleep and like nothing else is grabbing my attention, when I'm drafting contemporary, I can't really be reading contemporary. I don't want to like any subvert, like lift anything, like just the idea of that scares me. And then fantasy can be like a lot of world building, like kind of too much. And like, I just need something that's just gonna provide me peace and hope and the swoons and the butterflies. And I've read it, Work of Art, so many times, and it just will never cease to like do that for me. And I remember she like commented on one of my Instagram posts, and I literally like responded to the comment in all caps, like, Mimi, be my friend, please.
And she was like, block.
No.
She's like, don't talk.
She slid into my DM. I was like, girl, I love it. And then she has her nonfiction, like, about the Victorian fashion. And I love that book because I was trying to write a Regency romp years ago, which I still think is a really funny story. But like, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know how anyone could do a Regency like Indigenous wise. Like, that is just way too effing complicated with the war. And then I mean, there was a Choctaw general who did go to Britain, but they like had made this deal with Britain, who then reneged on it. Like, it's just there's just no way to really romanticize that. I would never attempt to. I don't know, it's just not in the cards. But it was just like, a nerdy girl in England who was an heiress who was kidnapped. I don't know if I'm ever allowed to write something or publish something like that.
But well, historicals, like
I said, I'm pigeonholed a bit now. You know what I mean? Historicals are not dead.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what everyone's saying. That's the same as Cowboy. You could girl. Let me tell you something. I'm told rom-coms are dead.
that publishers, they're not really looking for contemporaries and rom-coms right now. It's all romantasy. But then I know people who have romantasy and they're like, oh, we kind of acquired way too many for too much money. We're trying to see how they go. Publishing doesn't
Yeah.
know what they're doing. Like
Publishing
they
is,
retroactively like, let's get all these cowboys and like
yeah.
repackage these ones that did pretty well on KU, which is fine. But like typically
Publishing, yeah,
white
publishing is
cishet.
just vibes. Like that's what every time someone I see, I don't know, someone trying to like break down the like science of publishing, I'm like, I
What with the
acquired
crystal
books.
ball?
Like I was like, I was an editor and I acquired books and I made like profit and loss statements and I like was like, how much should we do for the advance? And it was all vibes. It was all, I mean, like, yeah, I looked at like other books that like sold well in that area, but it was all vibes. Like, it's all just like someone,
They're assumptions. That's how you make a
their
financial projection
assumption,
model.
it's their
Like,
assumptions and it's how good that person is at convincing the people who sign off on the money to pay the money. Like, it's just people. There's no
yeah, yeah.
science to
If
it.
any of those people are listening, pay me $1 million, please. Pay $1 million. Everyone wants these books. What
Who
really?
was that? Who said that? God, is that you?
Doctor Evil. Like, no, I'm one of those like I don't strive to be a super rich, but I just want my bills paid. I want to
Right,
not have to work three
right,
jobs, please.
right. Yeah,
Please.
yeah.
Sorry,
You're
that's
like,
gonna
I
be
just
like
want,
the headline from this. Just Danica going, please, like a donkey. My God. I promise I'm chill. I'm just
someone make a
I'm
meme. Someone screenshot that.
I'm just like your average girl.
I'm just your ordinary girl.
Yeah, an ordinary girl. Sometimes I'm lazy every day.
Every day.
Sorry.
Every day for me. All right.
This has been a
On that
wonderful
note,
talk.
this has been lovely. Thank you so much for coming. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram and threads at Danica_Nava, spelled DANICA_NAVA.
Amazing. And there's no newsletter yet, but maybe that will come
Maybe.
someday in an alternate universe.
Yeah, and I'll title it When Will Then Be Now?
Perfect. Perfect.
Never. Thank you for laughing with
Perfect.
me today.
Thank you for coming. You're so much fun. I love like you're so fun to talk to. Thank you so
Oh,
much for coming.
yeehaw!
Yeah. And that's where I'm gonna cut it off. That was so much fun. She's like I want to be her best friend, actually. That like she seems so intelligent and knowledgeable and also someone who appreciates like being true to herself and speaking up for herself in like a world that tells women that we shouldn't. And yeah, I really enjoyed talking with Danica, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed listening to that. As always, thank you so much for listening. Please leave a rating and review wherever you're listening. It takes 5 seconds. And if you have like an author or a book that you want us to talk about, or a topic, like this topic was cowboy romance that you want us to talk about, um, you can put it in a review or you can reach out to us on Instagram, Threads, or TikTok at We Read It One Night. Those are the ones that we're most active on. We do have a Twitter and a Facebook, but we don't really go on that much. And you can also email us, we read it one night at gmail.com. I hope you guys are enjoying like the new format and the new video aspect of this show. Read Native Romance, read BIPOC romance, read romance by marginalized people, because there's so many gems in that space that I feel like deserve to be lifted up. Um, yeah, connect with us on socials and everything. I keep saying us. It's just me now. Rachel's a Rachel's been demoted to a guest host. Not really. She's taking a step back. So it is me and surprise guest every week or every 2 weeks. Um, I'm rambling now. Thank you so much for listening. Godspeed, comrades.